So today we shall deal with the individual and the question. We have a few questions. So, does the individual soul exist? And what is the separation from the ultimate reality of the individual and the Brahman? So, with this questioning, we start off. See, understanding in today's session, the each one of us are actually limited in space, time, and existence. Now, this limitations of the space, time, and existence is nothing else but because of our ignorance. That we are ignorant of who we truly are. And in the Himalaya, Thaplial Sahab's Desh says, what is the difference? And the difference in the Hindi, they say, बेवकीफ बेवकूफी के बात है और कुछ नहीं. It's just our pure stupidity that we have forgotten that we are infinite and we are not limited by space, time, and existence. So, this, truly speaking, the ignorant nature of that came into being because we started to orientate ourselves with the ego. We brought into this body a name and a form and a function. And with that ignorant nature, we separated ourselves from who we truly are. As per Ramanujam, Vishishta Advaita, by the way, Ramanujam did not start Vishishta Advaita, nor did Shankaracharya start the Advaita Vedanta. They were there for thousands of years before them, but they have brought into prominence Ramanujam about 300 years after Shankaracharya, Shankaracharya about 1400 years from now. Now, when we say, as per Ramanujam, Vishishta Advaita, that it is the Prakriti which is one but exists in different forms, and consciousness as per Vishishta Advaita, Shankhya philosophy, are many. Each one of us as per Sankhya are many. Basic understanding is the front step, the first step of Sankhya and Advaita. Our foundation are one. And what is the foundation? That it is ignorance that we are limited. It is ignorance that we are a body with a name and a form and a mind and a function. Ramanujam, Vishishta Advaita, and Advaita both start with the same foundation stone. Now, with that, when you say Prakriti has created different, Prakriti is the one creation as per Sankhya, and has created this beautiful nature, the surrounding. The more I was looking at it, the more beautiful mountains and waterfalls and hills and lakes and rivers. That what a fantastic creation. And it is so difficult for you and me to suddenly say that we are all one. This separatedness, if you look at it, it is so strongly ingrained right from childhood, babyhood. We have been given a name, we have been given a function, we have been told you're a boy or a girl, and as we are growing up. But in that, the Prakriti and Purusha, when we are separately, then something is happening, and that is a divine love takes place. Divine love towards Prakriti, the Supreme Mother, in which what are we doing? We're practicing both. Divine love, at the same time, we're going ahead and understanding the Advaita. So, Advaita is the one consciousness which in turn is reflecting, like let's say the movie screen. The movie screen is only projecting the film. Movie screen does not become the the hero, the heroine, the Dracula, the dinosaurs, or the pterodactyls. It just projecting it. It is unattached, and this consciousness is projecting as per Advaita the entire. Whereas as per Sankhya, it goes on now separate itself. If each one of us a separate consciousness, now how can we be separate is the logic which goes ahead with the Advaita and Dvaita Vishishta is the argument which goes on. That we will take it on another time. Here, just understand in today's question that can we be different, in which Advaita is absolutely talking about it is one consciousness projecting the entire world outside of us. How is it? Experiencing it. Experience it. Let's say you talk about your thoughts, your feelings. They're all very private in nature. Your mind, the way it is going on, nobody else can tap into it. But you cannot have that or this world nature which we experiencing with our body, enjoying, eating, sleeping, drinking, or seeing, touching, feeling. All this thing is possible through our senses or through our sukshma sharira, which is through the mind, to the thoughts, to the intelligence, to the memory, and ego is possible only when we have consciousness. And here the big difference starts off with the Advaita. Advaita says we all are one. The separation has happened because we identify ourselves wrongly that we are a body and a name and a form. And that's where the separation starts. And along with separation, another S for suffering begins. That is the Ramanujam versus Shankaracharya. And Ramakrishna is asked, and often people say, which one did he follow? Vishishtadvaita or Advaita? Because he used to worship Mother Kali. And then also he is called the Advaita Vedantist. So which one did he actually follow? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's answer is very simple. It goes on to say, what? He says, follow any means, whichever the means you may achieve and become one with God. As long as you achieve God, purpose of the human life is for us to realize God. Follow any means. So magnanimous, and this is how, if you look at carefully, you and I are following this, following both. You might find because of the band speed, sometimes you'll find me frozen. But voice, as I am being assured by our Wasim sir, who's monitoring it continuously from Pune, that you would continue to be able to hear my voice. So now we get on to the individual soul and Brahman. Now, what we are told about the ultimate reality, we naturally wonder what is our relationship with this ultimate reality. The Advaita Vedanta is seeing we are that entire entity. And in Jivatatma, when we limit ourselves, limited existence with life, Jivatatma, which is, let's take a stone, this mountain stone, and understanding it, it is sounds very complicated, but as we begin to take up the journey with the blessings of the mother, saints, and gurus, understanding becomes very simple and easy. Look at the sun. Look at the sun as consciousness, as the light. The sun's light is falling on the rock, on the mountain, on the river, on the pond. It is heating it up. But look at the difference. When it falls on which is not jiva, which has got no life, whether it's a worm or a plant or people like you and me or an animal, we are jivatatma. We have a life. So here it's like in the rock, when the sun falls on it, the rock becomes warm. It has the feeling of the consciousness. If you take that light as the consciousness, a simile, okay? The rock becomes warm. There is consciousness. There is consciousness in this wooden chair that I'm sitting on. But you cannot see like you can see in the lake or in a puddle of water. You can see the reflection of a little sun. That little sun you cannot see in the rock. If I put a mirror, in the mirror will also become warm because of the sun's effect. But it is not becoming warm. Existence, consciousness, bliss, Sat, Chit, Ananda is Brahman. Correct? Existence, rock is also existing. The river is also existing. The lake is also existing. The water droplet of the rain drop is also existing. Existence is the rock. Existence is the water droplet. Existence is that rain. Existence is this wooden chair. But the consciousness part of it, if you look carefully now, that you can see. How do you see it? Because of the Jivatatma. This Jivatatma is the consciousness. You can see the life form. In a plant, you can see it. You can see in the water droplet a little sun. You can see the little sun. And this is because of the Sukshma Sharira. So we've got Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira. Sthula Sharira, just imagine, like the rock, like the chair, or Robin Ghosh is dead. Now, the Sukshma Sharira from Robin Ghosh is gone out, which is called as being dead. Notice the Jara, the body is there. You can see it. It is not going to vanish in the air, but the Sukshma Sharira is gone. Now, the sunlight reflecting, which is the consciousness, which is the prana, is gone up. So, Sukshma Sharira is Pranamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, Jnanamaya Kosha. All three of them is the Sukshma Sharira. And we have also Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss angle of it. When the body is dead, or the stone or the wooden chair, they do not have this Sukshma Sharira. Getting on to there, from there, in the Jivatatma, in which the existence is actually infinite as per Advaita, because we are the consciousness which is projecting like the screen this life form. All that you see outside is because of our consciousness. And we are not the body, we are not the name, we are not the form. What are we? We are the consciousness. So it is infinite. But the moment we look at I as a name and a form, we get limited. And then begins the suffering. And then we start to wonder, are we really true? Is it really? So what is it separating? The ignorance, Beukufi, as per Himalayan language. Individual soul from Brahman. Ignorance about our real nature, who we really are. Who am I? Ignorance about the Brahman, the knowledge. So what are we supposed to do in this real life, reality? How do we go away? Suffering is going to stop if you realize? No. Sufferings are going to be there on this earth, on the universe. The fact that this is what is Buddha talked about, four folds of suffering. Remember, old age, death, sickness, etc. He goes ahead. But he goes ahead and says there are eight folds through which you can go away from the suffering. The Brahman realization, these world suffering will not go away. Paramahansa Ramakrishna's cancer did not go away. He took the cancer of various uh, disciples and took it upon him to liberate them. So his cancer pain continuing, but early in the morning, recollect the story of Turiya Maharaj, Hari Maharaj, saying, Thakur, how are you feeling today? Kevan acho? Thakur says, my throat is paining. I can't eat anything. And imagine 3 days to go, he left his body. Actually, how much the body must have been suffering. But Hari Maharaj makes a very strange statement. He was then a brahmachari. He said, but Thakur, you are looking as if you're in bliss. You're in joy and happiness. And Thakur, instead of people like me, if I was at that position, I might frown. I might say, why is he saying like this? He doesn't know what am I suffering from. It the Jivatatma would do. But he is Paramatma, become Paramatma now. He is the Paramahansa. What does he say? He said, Shala dhore pheleche. Rascal has got me. So what does it mean? When you realize that you are the Brahman, the body continues to work. You're not leaving the body. You continue to work with the name and the form and a function. When he comes out of the Samadhi, or people like Ramana Maharshi or Buddha, Jesus Christ, or any one of the Greek masters, it is not they're going to leave the body. It is not you and I going to, in our journey, going to leave the body and say, don't disturb me, I'm meditating. No. That is incorrect. So what should we do? We should live like monk attitude. Only the attitude, sanskara, should be knowing I'm not that. I'm playing the role in which no separation. We are all one. So, recollect, getting back to our earlier examples, the wave is separate from the water. But is the water separate from wave? Nature is separate from, we are separate from nature. But is the nature separate from us? No, we are a part of the nature. The wave is a part of the water. But the water is not part of the wave. Why? Easy to understand. Like we did the stone and the water droplet, reflection of the sun. Over here, just think. Water could be in a form of a moisture, humidity. Water could be in the drinking glass form. Water could be in a calm ocean. Wave is calmed down. Water is still there. So it is the projection of the water, and depending on the size of the waves, you call it tsunami or a big wave or a middle wave or a bubble or a froth or a water spray. So understanding that way, monk-like attitude to live in this world and face everything. What happens is, as you take up the journey, you will start to realize that suddenly that pain which was there for the knee pain or the back pain or the headache, it suddenly appears to you lesser of suffering. That's the key. You suddenly look at that. One of the question came to me, I am in the Advaita Vedantas. Why are my children, I know, he goes on to say, he was a foreigner, he says, I know I am Brahman. Then why are my children bugging me so much? Why is my wife irritating me so much? It's very simple. The moment you and I, the moment we say, I know I am Brahman, this I am Brahman is that consciousness. I am orientating I myself, not with this body and the name and the form. The moment I say COVID-19 fear, what am I doing? I'm changing this I from the consciousness I to Nama Rupa Bhavahara, name, form, and function. And that's it called the ignorance. Getting on to the next. So, nothing actually separates us but the stupidity alone. Going into the next, realizing God, you have various perspectives in which we are looking at it that the identity of us. Just a minute, please. Yes. We are same as God, but we are having different identities because of our ignorance. So this is what we just discussed about the Jiva and the Brahman. Relatives as part and a whole. The moment we limiting ourselves as a part, we come into with this apart. So what is bringing it? Separation. So in your breathing exercises, pre-meditation and in the beginning part of the meditation, remember that word in the Vedantic, what we keep doing, asanga aham, asanga aham, asanga aham, asanga asmin, asanga I am. Asanga is I'm totally detached. I am monk-like. I'm not this body, name, and form. And you would be surprised as you start to think of it, just practicing it. We are not enlightened. All of us are in the journey of the enlightenment. The moment you start to do it, you will be surprised your body will get locked. And it is happening to many of you. Straight away, I get some names in my mind. You totally forget about it. I hear Yogesh suddenly saying, I went into a beautiful bliss. And then why does this again come in when the bliss goes away? The same thing we had discussed 2 Sundays back. Answer is same. We change subtly our identity to Nama Rupa Bhavahara from that bliss, Ananda attitude. And that is why, because of our ignorance. More and more, there's the beautiful exercises the Buddhist monks practice. They take 2 bowls and they have lots of stones in front in which on the left hand side is the black stone, right hand side is the white stone, pure white stone, pure black stone. And they have 2 bowls and you're meditating. As a dirty thought, funny thought, idea comes in, they put one bowl, they keep it one bowl. They take one black stone and put it into that bowl without opening eyes. They know left is black, right is white. They pick up one black stone, dirty thought, funny thought. As they get a good thought, a divine thought, they put a white stone there. And initially, as they're taking up the journey, this is some of the Buddhist monks' experiences. They say that more or less the bowl is filled with only black stone, only very few white stones. It will never happen, by the way, that you will have only black stones. It is not possible. Then we are not Jivatatma. So there will be white stones, there will be more of black stones. And that depends on the level at which you and I are. And as you're progressing, the monk is saying, slowly, it starts to improve. The black stones are less. I use more my right arm. Why is the white stone to the right? It is the right hand. Symbolically, left hand is the one which is the black stone. And slowly they say, we feel more enlightened. We get locked into it. We see the light and light. We see ourselves only light. And this is called, in Buddhism, they call it Atma Deepa Bhavo. Feel yourself. We talk about in Advaita that feel yourself. Saprabha, light, Jyoti. You're glowing with the light. That light in more white stone keeps coming. This is another way for this, understanding it. And you realize that the moment I get back into my name and form, Brahman I are separate, distinctly duality, which is Sankhya. And the moment we realize that the liberating understanding of Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, with the Ayamaniya of the Patanjali, of the basic 5+5 forms, in which we're starting with the truth and ahimsa and the ayama, and niyama is starting with saucha, cleanliness, and going ahead. Automatically, you will find that you will get into this is what is called sadhana pratishta. Then you're continuously progressing towards who we are, and you will suddenly find beautiful things will happen. Like I have a beautiful jacket which I keep talking about, which I got it made by a designer gentleman who makes our school uniform. and, and one day he said, I'm going to make suit for you. I said, I already have. He said, no, sir, let me make it. I am a designer from London. I said, okay, go ahead, make it. He made it. It fits me very well. It's very nice. I take good care of it. Between Shadamam and I, we take care of it. We hang it nicely, brush it properly. I have another jacket, and that is also fitting me very well. It has got a matching gloves, my skin, my hand, and my feet. That's also my jacket. I take care of that too. But the moment I start to say that this jacket, the one designer made jacket, come to think of it, this is also designer made, no? The moment I oriented myself with that jacket, that is me. I say, what nonsense? How can it be? The jacket is jacket. But I oriented myself with the skin and the body and the flesh and the bone. I said, this is me. And that's where the problem comes in. So this is where the Jiva and the Brahman and the journey that we are taking it about, whichever methodology works with you, you may take it on. Understanding and realizing God is the purpose of the journey. Swami Vivekananda, absolute ideal disciple of Paramahamsa Ramakrishna. Not only that, as you study, Paramahamsa Yogananda, you see that he is the utter reflection of Yukteswar Giri. Swami Vivekananda is actually Ramakrishna talking. He even says, you all think that I am a Jnana Yogi. Actually, I'm a Jnana Yogi outside. Inside, I'm a total Bhakti Yogi. And Paramahamsa Ramakrishna, my guru, you all think he's a Bhakti Yogi, but he's actually a Jnana Yogi. He's a inner and outer is Jnana Yogi. So this is the discrimination which you and I need to take it on towards taking up our understanding and the journey. So now the next question came in. Can the self be self-aware without the mind or an object? Can I become aware of that Atman without my mind? The first and foremost answer is direct no. You cannot, because the whatever we perceive today, the consciousness who we actually are, consciousness by itself cannot experience anything. Understand, this is Advaita Vedanta. What is experience? Experience is consciousness plus vritti. I'm making it sound a little technical because that is the true sense, but I'll make it in the next sentence very simple. What is vritti? Vritti, as Swami Vivekananda talks about it, is in the mind. If you look at it as a lake or a water surface, a little wave, it's called a vritti, or a little bubble, comes up. I feel like having coffee. A coffee bubble has come up. What is coffee? Coffee bubble is a little wave. It's called a vritti. Or a little bubble comes up. I feel like having coffee. A coffee bubble has come up. What is coffee? Coffee bubble is a little wave. It's called a vritti, or a little bubble comes up. I feel like having coffee. If I pay attention to the coffee bubble and run to barista or Starbucks, I am giving in to my desires followed by action and having coffee, and I say, very nice. This desire is never ending. And the best part is, if you have two coffee or three coffee, you will say, oh my God, I don't want Starbucks coffee anymore for some time. You see, the physical desire, the spirit, the emotional, intellectual desires, the feelings which you keep feeding in, soon enough it becomes boring, boring, boring. But the spiritual desires, when you take up the journey, it keeps on increasing, increasing, and infinite is the now end. So, what is this? Any experience is consciousness plus vritti. And vritti is nothing else but a mind wave. Now, this is called vritti vyapti. So, I see a clock. The moment I see a clock, light is reflecting on the clock. Clock is not entering my eye. I'll have to run to hospital then. A light reflects and falls into the retina, which in turn, through the optical nerve, send a message to the neurons in my brain. And just imagine, it is not the light anymore. Light transforms from optical nerve into tiny bits of electricity. And when it goes to the mind doesn't get that light also. It gets an image. Can you imagine what a powerful creation of this consciousness, God, Allah, Christ, whatever name you call, or Aham Brahmasmi. You and I are creator of this. How do we say that the world is consciousness? Very simple. If I am unconscious, can I see the world? The world vanishes. If my Sukshma Sharira goes away, consciousness is everywhere. Consciousness doesn't go away. Consciousness stays. I'm using consciousness. So when the mind gets that image, how do I know? A reflective consciousness from the consciousness comes into the mind called the reflective consciousness. That reflective consciousness, like the sunlight to the moon, moon lights up, mind lights up, and receives the data from the brain and the body and the senses and says, I am having a cup of coffee, or I'm looking at a watch, and that's a man, that's a woman, this is the mountain, this is how we are experiencing it out. Now, in this, that vritti is the experience. It cannot happen until and unless mind is encompassing that vritti, which in turn removes a certain thing which is further Advaitic knowledge for it to come back. And without the mind, only consciousness cannot have. And another understanding called phala prapti. The moment the reflective consciousness lights up, that vritti, understanding this is very important. Pay attention. You would find it your meditation is very good. Vritti vyapti is understanding. Vritti is knowing that I'm seeing the clock. But the moment the clock I'm seeing message comes to me is when the consciousness, through the reflective consciousness, lights up my mind with that tiny image which came in through the optical nerve to light and the tiny electrical message. What does it happen? Phala prapti. I get the result. When I have these two, this is called I am seeing a clock. I'm seeing a clock. Now this cannot happen until unless there is a vritti. And vritti cannot happen. Very important, very powerful understanding, unless there is an object. It is not only clock or the mountain or the river or a man or a woman or a boy or a horse or an animal. It is also when no object apparently. When is that? when you are in samadhi state. When you are in, you say, come on, I haven't had, how do I know? But you do this through deep sleep also. In the deep sleep, at, remember Mandakya Upanishad, Jagrat, Swapna, Susupti. That Susupti is the deep sleep state. In the deep sleep, your mind is left away at the Swapna state. There is no mind there, only consciousness. No mind there absolutely is not correct statement, because tiny bit of a mind, a drop is there, with which you know I had a very good sleep. And then the Turiya state. In the Turiya, there is, you do not realize it unless you get onto the Samadhi. In the Samadhi state, experiences, recollect the earlier information, has got a beginning, has got an end. All experiences have a beginning and an end. And it also has something else called memory. In the Samadhi state, it is also experience. Experiencing beginning Samadhi, end of Samadhi. Paramahansa Ramakrishna is out of the Samadhi. He realizes there is Viren, there is Naren, there is Nakal, and everybody can recognize them. He's come back into his body, Nama, Rupa form. But what he had called knowledge of Samadhi, that doesn't go away. Experiences have beginning and end. Experience will end. And because of which, if you recollect, you and I had experiences of Charles Law and Boyce Law and Faraday's Law, we have forgotten. We forget people also. What was your name? I've forgotten. You had met him, meeting 20 years after. Like that. So, understanding this, let's take it on from there. So, straight answer is no. Mind is needed to be self-aware. Consciousness, vritti in the mind, movement of the mind is required for any experiences. Self-awareness is also a vritti of the mind. That understanding who am I. Remember, any experience, I have realized who I am. It is also an experience. Mind is required. So, Purusha and Prakriti gives rise to experience as per Sankhya. And as per Advaita Vedanta, there is no Purusha is the consciousness alone, is creating through Maya, which is Prakriti. Where is the Prakriti as per Advaita? Prakriti is the Maya of Purusha, consciousness. Consciousness, Brahman is creating Maya. Why? To experience the world. This world. You remember in Eko Ham Baho Shama, Krishna is telling Arjuna, I was one in Bhagavad Gita. I wanted to be many. Remember that little story about understanding who am I from the book Alan Watt. I have spoken to you about last few sessions, in which God created a no God and was so good, the no God was as good as God. But only thing, God being so good, no God became so good, the no God forgot that he is God, and he started to do all the no God activities. And that's what who you and I are. And this Prakriti is not an independent identity. It is not separate as per Advaita. As per Sankhya, it is separate. But as per Advaita, it is one. I'm certain we all are in good ground and understanding very well. Universe, body and mind is nothing but Brahman as per Advaita. Going into now the next state. Maya and Brahman. Brahman appears as this world and like movie screen does not become the object. Brahman does not become this world. It is what? It projects an image into our consciousness, like the mirror screen, like the water projects itself as the wave, or no wave, or drinking glass of water. Maya is projecting Brahman as unity through the Maya as various men, women, jungle, forest, people, animals. So Maya, going back to our earlier, has got two properties. One is Avarana Shakti, which is the power to veil the truth. So what is happening in our world actually? Because of Maya, you and I forget who we truly are. And then it is projected as the name, form, and function, name, body, because of the Maya. So, Himalayas, they say, Maya ko जानने का कोशिश मत कीजिए. In Thaplial Saab's village, the enlightened people called Devalaya, they say, Maya ko pratishtha mat kijiye, Maya ko kaatiye. You cut that thread. This Vikshepa Shakti is the projecting power of the Maya. One alone exists and appears as nature, Prakriti, and soul, Purusha, as per Advaita. One alone, consciousness alone, which is you and I, appears as knower and the known. Remember? Knower and the known, Aparukshanabhuti, that we had talked about. And now going into the consciousness and you. And we will make this as the last thing. We have lots of things to share, and I'm divine power that we can continue to share the screen and continue to work. In this divine power, you, the consciousness, is definitely different from the nature, which is, says the Sankhya philosophy. But is the nature different, Advaita is asking, from you? And this is where we come in. Wave is different from the water, or is the water different from the wave? Sounds confusing, no? Just remember, water can be the water wave, can be no wave, can be a bubble, can be froth, can be drinking water, can be anything. Wave is wave or no wave. But this body is there or not there. That is from. Water is different from the wave, but a wave is different from the water. Water is different from this altar and the wood and the chair. But is it different from the wood? This chair, is it different from the wood? It is not. The wood was a little while ago a log in the tree. And it was a tree. It was cut up to be log. A log became a table. And this is how it goes on. The entire universe is not different from consciousness. Then you have understood Advaita Vedanta, the entire universe. So now just think application of this. How can your child be bugging you? How can your husband or wife be bothering you? You are not separate. You have a different body, name, and form. But in reality, you are one consciousness. Even if my body dies, my consciousness is one with everyone, not separate. One alone exists. Body is separate. Body is gone. It will be burned or it will be buried under the ground. But can my consciousness go away? No. So this is why the Mahapurusha, the saints, the masters, their body is not there. But you and I experience Babaji and Lahiri Mahasaya, Yukteswar Giri Paramahamsa Yogananda. We experience Swami Vivekananda, Divine Mother, Holy Mother, Paramahamsa Ramakrishna. And you know what? Anytime you, in your jiva form, are facing a suffering and you are not connected fully as the consciousness, so you are feeling the pain, you say, now you're going into utilizing, stealing, chori chori mein. Say, Divine Mother, please help me. Remove this suffering from me. I am your child. You are not different from me. This is how we have. I got this combining both the Advaita Vedanta with Dvaita and the Kriya Yoga. with the Kriya Yoga Sadhana Pratishtha, fastest way of getting into that state of experiencing of oneness, and which will give us not just an experience, at the experience will have an end, but there will be a knowledge. Knowledge will never end. Knowledge will always stay of the experience that we're going in. With this, we would finish up for today's session. We have about 6 minutes left. Should you have any questions, you are welcome to ask right now. Let us see how will the Wi-Fi be able to manage. I have lots to share. We will continue to do that. As long as we live, we perform, we exist, we must share. Swami Vivekananda says, before you think about your question, if there are any, Swami Vivekananda says, my whole life can be unified into two simple sentences. One is to preach into humanity the eternal blissful state which is us, within me, the Advaita Vedanta, the supreme consciousness. Preach into humanity. You and I, we must share this. Talk to people. It's all right if you make mistake. You know, making a mistake for a teacher, we have a beautiful saying. If you want to learn German language, the best way to learn German or mathematics or physics or Vedanta is to start teaching German, mathematics, physics, and Vedanta. And the moment you start to, you have to study, divine sources help will come on your way. You will suddenly say, wow, I didn't understand Bhagavad Gita at all. And now I understand. So I keep thinking about Thapliyalji. He by-hearted the entire with Bhagavad Gita. Isn't it beautiful? Vedanta is Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, and Brahma Sutra. In Vedanta, you enhance your understanding to going into it. So that is the first point of Vivekananda. And second is manifest that divinity within you and express it in every walk, every moment of your life. Every moment. Smile must be there. Don't find fault with anyone. Oneness must be maintained. Separated feeling, I am different, she is different, he is different, should go away. Take it away progressively. It will happen. One of the beautiful exercises, I find it very beautifully, powerfully enhances these feelings of the two example which Vivekananda talks about. As you breathe in oneness, breathe in purity, viveka. Viveka is that conscious awareness by which you know what is real and what is not real. Discrimination becomes alive. And the moment it becomes alive, monk-like attitude comes to you in your real life right now. That's called vairag. And then shama, calmness of mind comes in. Dhamma, controlling of senses. I feel like having 2 more coffee. And suddenly something tells you, it's all right. Not right now, maybe later. Control comes into the senses. Uparati, that energy which was going out with the 5 senses and the body and enjoying. I often hear people say, let's enjoy. All you're doing is distracting and fragmenting yourself. Whether enjoying a scenery, enjoying a beauty or a handsomeness, or a watch or a property or a land or a money in the bank, you're destroying yourself. But you know the beauty part of it, when it combines the two, whatever is tiniest of the wish, including that enjoyment, it comes to you, but with a monk-like attitude. You're not attracted anymore. It is like, reminds me a beautiful example. You know, a girl, 6, 7, 8 years old girl sitting down and eating Cadbury gem. Maybe you've only given it. She's eating 1 Cadbury, 2 Cadbury, and you going by, you smile and you put your hand on her head and said, eating Cadbury, and she says, smile. If you make the mistake and say, shall I take one? She will do like this. She'll protect it. But if you say, sure, go ahead, eat, you know what she's going to do? She's going to say, take one. She'll give you now. Earlier, when you say, can I grab one? Can I grab one is what? I want to grab these objects of the world and make it mine. Separated feeling. The moment oneness comes in, all these things will come to you pouring. The money will come, the relationship will come, the name and fame will come, and you will suddenly feel that monk-like attitude. It's beautiful feeling. Practice it through your breathing. And when you're breathing out, mithya, lies, breathing out, that lethargy, alas, breathe out, separatedness, duality. Breathe out, finding fault with people. And if you've been finding a lot of fault with your husband or with your wife, start thinking of her and him first, and with your children or with your colleagues. Anyone who's bothering you, meaning what? Some action of theirs is making you feel you're separate, he's separate. That is where breathe out the separatedness. With that, I wish you Jai Guru. Any question from anyone?
Rajiv have a question.
Rajiv, you have a question? Yeah, hi.
He asking.
Can you?
So this is his question.
Okay, Rajiv. Let's see.
Please suggest a good method for self-analysis.
A very good question, Rajiv. Once again, so Rajiv's question is: please suggest a method for self-analysis. Is that correct, Rajiv? Yeah. Okay. Rajiv is nodding his head. I can't hear him. I hope you can hear me. Thank you. The fact that Rajiv is nodding his head, meaning he can hear me. Okay. Divine Grace. See, let's get on to deeper first, and then we come up to a lighter level. Deepest level is, as our great masters have said, all methods are good. All river will flow down to the ocean. So any method is good. But now look at the but part of it. You and I, Rajiv sir, and each one of you devotees and the world have been specially guided to Vedanta, to Kriya Yoga. You know very well, you've heard it, that Krishna taught Arjuna, Surya, Manu, Ikshvaku, and then from to Babaji. Babaji in turn gave it to Lahiri Mahasai. And through Yukta Shirgiri, Paramahansa Yogananda has come down to us. It's a powerful way. It is said that those who are Kriyaban yogis, 7 generations before and 7 generations after, would automatically be liberated. That is one. 2, it is said you must have done something very great in your past and the current life for you and me to get into Vedanta, and that to Advaita Vedanta. It is not possible. And it is said that only when you do very good, that you get into Advaita Vedanta. So notice, you and I, all of us, have done a lot of good things in our life, because of which we are getting connected to Kriya Yoga and Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta goes ahead and says, Kriya Yoga is Raja Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, finely tuned by Babaji, made it for grihis like you and me too. Originally, it was meant only for the monks. You all know about all that. Now, what is the best method? I feel today, understand it, realize it beautifully. It done so much of changes with Advaita Vedanta, understanding the knowledge, application through the Kriya Yoga, through the all 4 yogas. Karma Yoga, detached action. Start with your own mother, father, wife, husband, children, colleagues, friends, everybody. Meaning, doing without expecting anything in return, doing it with a smile, doing it with kindness and love, giving things to the poor people, not standing on top and the poor people down there, beggar on the street and feeling great. I've given him 20 bucks and 100 bucks. Instead of that, feel that we are blessed. Let us kneel down and let the beggar stand up and give it to him like that and say, it is a great honor to me to be able to give it to you. It's the supreme Brahman, divinity, God, divine mother has given me to serve you. And the moment we can do that, you are automatically doing your karma yoga, bhakti yoga, true love, absolute love. Fight with mother, fight with Brahman, fight with Krishna, Shiva, whoever it is, your guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. What is this, Gurudev? Swami Vivekananda, what is this? Why am I not understanding it? You make me understand it. When I started up the Advaita Vedanta and Bhagavad Gita, I wasn't understanding it. But I see today, it is so beautifully simple now. So, there is a artist, a simple story, Rajiv, comes to my mind. An artist, there was somebody's house he had gone down, who was his disciple, and he saw a painting which was done by his disciple, and disciple said, sir, I have done this. Actually speaking, that painting was looking very simple, very ordinary. Naturally, a beginner student has made it. So the master looked at the painting. He said, can you bring your easel and paint? So the student ran and brought it to him. He took the brush, he put the paint, and just in 4, 5, 6 strokes, he converted that painting into a powerful image. Just 4, 5, 6 strokes. Can't be more than a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And everybody around it and doing like this and said, wow, only in 2, 3 minutes you converted this whole painting into such a great thing. Straight away, Rajiv, goes your question, brings me to this. This master smiled and he said, yes, it's only 2 to 3 minutes, but it has taken me 45 years of practices to come to this state. So you and I, as we keep practicing, what is a beautiful way toward this self-realization? Combine both. Remembering one thing, drinking a bowl of soup, we make often a mistake by taking 2 spoons, 3 spoons, 4 spoons. We don't require 6 spoons to drink a bowl of soup. 1 spoon is good enough. One method, that method that you and I, any method would do, but we know Vedanta is the supreme, ultimate Advaita Vedanta on top of that. And we know Kriya Yoga the supreme. And there are so many masters who have done it before us. Ramana Maharshi has done, Paramahansa Yogananda, Vivekananda, Yogananda was also an Advaita Vedantist. That's how he has written Ramayana, has written Bhagavad Gita. God talks with Arjuna. Follow this process, believe in it, stick to your time schedule, which I know you all are doing it, and you especially, Rajiv, believe in it, live the life, and follow the Raja Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Swadhyaya, Sravanam, Mananam. Mananam is reflection, asking questions, studying. Swadhyaya is of your mind and also of the book. Read Vedanta. And not read like in a library and passing pages and I've finished this book. No. Read that same line again and again and again till you and I can be like the master, just turn it. The moment the topic comes, the answer floods to you from this cosmic consciousness. You get aligned with the consciousness. Close your eyes, you will find the same problem in your industry, in your company. You're not finding the answer. Sit on your meditation, finish the meditation, plant that seed. Remember, Rajiv, long time ago, we used to say, plant that seed of your wish. Plant that seed. and you will strangely see different fantastic ideas coming out. Immediately start applying it. If you don't employ it immediately, you'll forget them, because this is the consciousness. We have to stay tuned, which we say line will get cut otherwise. The line, keep it connected all the time with this. And ayama and niyama, these 210 principles are very powerful. And this shata sampatti, viveka vairaga, shamadama uparati titiksha samadhana, satya, respect for the subject, for the topic, for the gurus, and mumukshatta, mumukshatta, mumukshatta. I'm not going to give up till we get it. Any other doubts? Rajiv, does it answer your question? Nod your head. I can see you. Okay, thank you. Anybody, any question? With this, my thoughts, may this divine mother, the power of the Vedanta, the power of the Kriya Yoga, Mahavatar Babaji, Krishna, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, divine mother, Paramahansa Yogananda, Sri Yukteswar Giri Larima se, Swami Sri Vivekananda, Holy Mother, Paramahansa Ramakrishna. Bless us all. May we all travel towards oneness, attain this being in the multitude, and yet attain that calmness of solitude within. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Guru.